Okay, I have my gutter downspout cut into 7-inch, 6-inch, and 4-inch lengths. And now what I need to do is take a look at the crate that I'm going to use to store everything in. The Staples crate is a solid bottom crate that will collect water for about 1 inch on the bottom. And the Walmart crate is drilled on the bottom so it will not collect water. One thing you'll have to do with this crate is you will have to cut a piece of plexiglass to fit the bottom so that your plugs do not catch on the holes. For this crate, I like to drill holes, but I don't want to put them in the bottom. I want to put them in the side so that I don't have holes that my plugs can catch on. I put them on the bottom so that the water will still drain. Okay, I've gone around the entire perimeter of the crate drilling holes right in the side here. They're about 1/4-inch holes, and I made about a dozen of them just to make sure that the water doesn't collect in the bottom of the crate. For the Walmart crate, I've cut a piece of plexiglass to fit loosely inside of it and just drop it right in. And what will happen now is the plugs won't catch on these holes on the bottom, and the water will drain around the side of the plexiglass and out the bottom of the crate to keep our plugs nice and dry. I've got the gutter downspout arranged in the crate, and you'll notice that it fits nice and tightly, so I don't really need to tape these together or glue them together. You could do that if you want, but I choose not to because I want to be able to have the flexibility to mix and match these sizes in here. You'll see that they don't rattle. Both of the crates fit 23 compartments in here. And, you know, I could even turn this upside down and they don't fall out. That's how tight they fit. Okay, we have our plug storage bin filled with more than 60 plugs. But one thing I don't like about this is my small plugs are more than halfway down the bin. I have to really reach in to grab them. So let's see what we can do to change that up and maybe raise those plugs up a little bit with some of the spare materials we have from our project. Okay, I've removed the 2 rows of 4-inch dividers, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I have a spare piece of 4-inch drain pipe from a project that I did months ago. And what I did was I cut 2 sections the same length, about 1.5 to 2 inches, and I'm just going to drop these pipes in here. And then I took some of the spare plexiglass that I had and I cut it to length so that it would fit right in and press up against my other drain pipe, creating a false bottom. Now when I put the 4-inch pipe back in, you'll see that the tops line up with the 6-inch, and it raises up my small plugs higher up in the crate, makes it a little bit easier to get to. Now that I have my plugs in the crate, there's a few other items that I'd like to take along with me. I'd like to make one crate able to go in my boat or in my car, and I have a few other items that I'd like to bring along with me, and I'd like to get as much of that in one place as possible. One of those items is Boga Grip. I'd like to find a way to get the Boga Grip on here, and another item is my lure tubes. I fish eel skins all the time. I have them with me always. And I'd like to have a way to have my lure tubes connected to my crate so that I won't forget my eel skin plugs. Another thing that the crate doesn't account for now is bucktails. So I'd like to find a way to be able to store my bucktails. And I'd also like to be able to find a way to store soft plastics like Sluggos. I tried to put Sluggos in like plugs and they don't work as well because, you know, they're soft and they're bending over, and as soon as you get more than 1 or 2 in there, they're catching on each other. So I'd like to find a better way to store my Sluggos. So let's take a look at what we can do to really customize this crate, and let's see if we can do it with some of the scraps that we have. One of the reasons I prefer to use the Staples crate is that it's a little bit sturdier. But the main reason is that all the filing crates have a means to stack together side by side. And Staples uses these tube-shaped things to slide together. And I find that they make an excellent stanchion for mounting other hardware outside. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn a dowel and epoxy it into these holes here all around the crate and that'll allow me a good mounting point to screw things in here. Because what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take some of the scrap plexiglass. Whenever you're working with plexiglass, you'll find you end up with little, 2-inch strips like this left over. I'm going to take and mount this plexiglass strip right across the front of the crate. After gluing the wood dowels into the crate holes here, I was able to take the plexiglass strip and mount it with some stainless steel screws and washers right into the front of the crate. That's going to give me a great place to store my lure tubes. It's also going to give me some extra room to store some, maybe I could use this for storing some bucktails or some tins or whatever else I might want to have that doesn't lend itself well to storing in the PVC gutter downspout inside the crate. I've also taken here a stainless steel eye-ring and through bolted it right to the side of the crate. This is a great spot for me to store my Boga grip. I could just hang it right off there. Another good feature of this is if I want to take this on the boat, I could actually clip the Boga grip and leave it on the crate so that my Boga grip doesn't fall overboard and I always know where it is. Getting back to the front though, all I need to do now is clip my lure tubes right on. It's very easy to take them on and off. And I'll never forget them because they're right in front of me with all the rest of my plugs when I'm going to set up my plug bag. I also have some big bucktails here that I could just kind of leave right on the side or in the front there, and we're all set to go. Or I could take tins. I could actually cut notches in here so that the bucktails or tins don't slide back and forth as the crate is moving around in a boat. I want to take another look at another way to store some bucktails, and I also still want to do something about those sluggos. Okay, here I have a 7-inch section of gutter downspout, and I have a piece of plexiglass scrap that I've cut widthwise to fit on the diagonal of this downspout. And what I'm going to use this for is I'm going to use this to store bucktails because I can get 2 bucktails in each hole, one on each side. Here I have the card filled with bucktails, and then I just drop it in and take it out. A simple, effective way to bring bucktails along. Remember that piece of 4-inch drain pipe that I used to cut 2 spacers for the false bottom in the crate? Well, I had a piece about 10 inches long left over, so I went to Home Depot and I bought 2 end caps and glued it on with PVC plumber's glue. What I did after that was I cut right down the middle, cut it in half, and made a tray out of it. I ended up with 2 trays. I figured this would be a great way to store sluggos. So let's take a look at how I put this and integrated it with the box. Because these are filing crates, they have a ridge all the way around the inside, and I thought that it would be good to take advantage of that for hanging my tray. So what I've done is I've installed 4 bolts in the end caps, and I've adjusted them so that they'll fit right where the ledge is. You notice I could slide the tray out of the way, and now I could just fill this up with sluggos. You'll notice that I have some holes drilled in here too, because everything about this crate I want it to be washable with a hose, and I don't want to have to worry about water collecting anywhere. So now I could drop my sluggos in here. I have probably room for at least a dozen of them, and that's just 1/2 of the tray. I can also use the other half, and I can store other things like lights, pliers, or anything else I might need to bring with me. Best thing about this setup is when it comes to rinsing my gear off, it just takes a couple of seconds to do. I could rinse anything on here. It's all plastic, stainless steel, it's all self-draining, and it'll all dry on its own. Here's where my plug storage bins spend most of their time, tucked away in a corner of the garage, ready to go.